Alright, let's start. Here's Q&A number 26. I finally got myself a mic stand, so I probably shouldn't be running out of breath. I did like a test recording on one of my other channels where I read an entire thing. I'm going to be reading through the whole You Awaken and Razor Heal fan story about WoW. It's like 30 chapters long, and each chapter takes me like 15 minutes to read, so it's going to take a really long time, just so I can have some more practice for recording and everything. And I found out that when I sit back and record, I don't run out of breath as much. That seems to be a huge problem whenever I'm recording, like, by myself. Whenever I stream, I don't have a problem with breathing or anything. I'm in shape, so it can't be that. It's probably just the fact that I slouch over. So I bought a mic stand. I really should have bought one before, and it's really nice. I can actually, like, type now because I don't have a stand in front of me. It comes down from above, but it was a huge pain in the ass to install, and it seems kind of cheap. The one they kept suggesting I buy on Amazon was like a $13 one, and it seems to work out okay, but I don't know. Anyways, let's get on to the questions. I really don't want to ramble on about that because I actually have a lot of questions this time for some reason. Man, it's really hard to break the habit. I'm even slouching down as I speak. Question number 1. Well, these aren't really questions. It's kind of copied comments that seem like they'd be good. Talking things, throwing shade at the Warcraft Bible. In my last video, I think I said something to the fact that Warcraft Bible steals... what does he steal again? He's a plagiarizer. What he would do is he'd go online. Warcraft Bible is this other YouTuber who does top 5s and 10s that are pretty poorly edited. And his earlier videos are literally him just copying Danger Dolan's style. I don't know why you'd want to copy that style. I don't understand why it's popular. It's kind of... Well, anyways, he would copy that, and then he would literally just straight up read articles online for his video. He didn't actually research anything. He would just go to like Kotaku or something, copy and paste the article, and just read it verbatim. It's like, how can you be that dumb? Because he literally just reads it. He's supposed to be like 18. He's in high school. High school these days, have they not given him a single research paper where he learns how to not plagiarize? How did he think that would fly online? And he did it for so many of his videos. It's ridiculous. I only found out when I was researching for my 10 rarest items in the game thing. Whenever I research videos like that, I like to watch other people's videos on it so that I can know what to avoid. It's like, I'm going to make sure I don't copy anything from there. But if they do have an interesting one that shows up in a couple of the things I research, I'll use it, even if it does show up in other people's videos. But I do make sure to try to just remove stuff from it if other people have mentioned it. Otherwise, I don't want one of my videos to be exactly the same as someone else's. And I also read lots of articles too, because they give me good, good material, just like videos. I watch a lot of videos, but I read more articles, and I read a ton of forum posts and stuff, and Reddit stuff. It takes a really long time to research videos. Anyways, while I was researching a video for my 10 items in the game that are rare, whatever, the video's doing pretty well right now, too. It's like over 200,000 views or something. I came across an article in Kotaku, and the article had like 1 or 2 really good ones, but the rest of them were like kind of bad. It's like, these are... I've done other videos, and the items on this list are really not as rare as this article makes them out to seem, because I did a video on the top 10 rarest mounts, and like half the list were mounts, and I knew of all the mounts they listed, only one of them was actually really rare. The other ones were just famous for being rare. They're not actually super rare, though. And then I remembered watching one of the Warcraft Bible's videos on the rarest items in the game, and everything on that Kotaku article was on his video, so I looked at it, and it was exactly the same. He didn't change anything. I think he might have just added 1 extra thing to it, so it'd be an even number. But that was funny. So I posted it to the Skype group I'm part of, because I'm in this Skype group with a bunch of other WoW Machinima YouTubers. And then Hellscream, he's another WoW YouTuber. He was also researching a different video, and he had found the same thing. I think he might have actually found it first, and I just posted it. Actually, I think that's how it happened. He's like, hey guys, can you believe I found this while researching? And it was basically an article, and then he posted the video, and it was the exact same thing. And I was like, hey, I literally just found something like that like a day or two ago when I was researching my video. And then Kakyo decided to research the rest of it, and he made his video. So if you don't know, Kakyo has this video basically going over everything the Warcraft Bible plagiarized, which is basically like all of his videos. And that's why I made that comment in my last Q&A video, throwing shade at him because I already knew about the video Kakyo was making, because I helped make it. It's Kakyo, he wouldn't have been able to make it without me. It was all my doing. Not really, it was probably mostly Hellscream. I probably would have never mentioned it if he hadn't. So yeah, he plagiarizes stuff that's not really that important. Let's go into the next question. You can just watch Kakyo's video. I probably won't link it, because I'll probably forget, so just type in, the problem with Warcraft Bible. I think his video will show up. It's really popular. It got a ton of views. And ever since that video, Warcraft Bible he's just been losing subs. He was gaining a crap ton, and he even passed me, but I think he lost 3,000 after the video. And he's just been slowly losing more subs than he's been gaining. He also turned off all comments and ratings. Funny stuff. Hey Hiru, please answer this question. When is the next Q&A? Oh, I'm pretty sure this was from Hellscream. I don't know why he puts that question all the time. The Q&As, I have it written down on my little thing over here. So let's see. Q&A, it says I was supposed to do it 2 days ago, every other week. I'm probably not going to do every other week. Probably every 3 weeks. Or something like that. Next question. How'd you like BoJack Horseman Season 3? You recommended it to me on stream once, and I love it. BoJack Horseman Season 3 was pretty good. I like Season 2 a little bit better. But Season 3 was also really good. You know, I'm trying to remember what even happened in BoJack. The thing with BoJack Horseman, it's this series on Netflix. It's a Netflix original series, and it stars a horse named BoJack Horseman, who was part of a TV show in the 90s that was super popular, basically like Full House, where it was like a really campy sitcom. And the first 6 episodes of the first season, it's basically him just making fun of sitcoms and Hollywood lifestyle, because he hasn't really had anything successful since then. But since his series was so successful in the 90s, he's still living off basically the royalties from it, so he's still pretty rich. And he's just looking for work, and it's just basically just a washed up celebrity. And then it goes more into his personal life and his background and his psychological problems and his depression. And I was like, oh, this is so good. I love TV shows like this that also makes fun of itself and makes light of the situation, but it also handles its serious moments very well. And in the second season, it just gets even better. He basically, he's like, well, what would have happened if I hadn't gone to Hollywood? And he basically goes and finds out what would have happened, and it turns out he probably would have still have been miserable and depressed because he's just a terrible person. And he's like, can I even change myself? And in the third season, he's basically trying to change, and then at the end of it, he finds out that changing is not that easy, and then something happens, and he tries to kill himself at the very end of it. And I'm just like, oh, this is so good. I love TV shows like this. And it's also really funny. That's the thing. It handles a very serious topic matter. Topic matter? That's dumb. I don't think that's a real thing. It handles a very serious thing. It does a really good depiction of what depression's like. And it's also hilarious. It's just like a perfect TV show. It's like one of my favorites. If I were to name like some of my favorite TV shows that aren't anime, because if I was going to name the anime ones, it's a bigger list. But BoJack would definitely be up there with like Rick and Morty and, I don't know, Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad's great too. Can't really count Game of Thrones since I read the books first. So I more of a think that as a book series that has a good TV adaptation, then I think of it as a good TV show, even though the TV show is really good. Talk about Game of Thrones Season 5. Episodes 9 and 10 were so good. Those are like two of the best episodes I've ever seen on TV of like anything. The Battle of the Bastards. The cinematography for that battle scene was like... That is my standard for how a good battle should be done. It was so good. Man, that was... I had like chills watching it. I was like, oh, this is so cool. This is so... It really captures the moment of the craziness of a battle. Like, if you were in a medieval battle, the only way you're going to make out of it alive if you were lucky. Your skill and training and everything isn't really going to get you too far because it's just chaotic and you have to literally just get lucky to get out of it. So there's a good chance you were going to die, and it really captured that really well. And then episode 9 was really good in a different way. I really liked the music they had. I mean, episode 10, I probably shouldn't be talking about Game of Thrones, but episode 10 was great too, and I basically downloaded the soundtrack afterwards, and I have it on my iPod because it was so good. Anyways, I'll stop talking about Game of Thrones and BoJack. Basically, you should watch BoJack. It's like one of my favorite TV shows ever. So good. And it's hilarious. The other TV shows I really like probably aren't as comedy-focused as BoJack. It's able to tell a serious story while at the same time having lots of good comedy. I'm 5 minutes in and you're still talking about running. When does the WoW start? I don't really talk about WoW too much in these, to be honest. I probably should not spend 10 minutes talking about running anymore, though. I don't think anyone really cares. Next question. Do you have a stream schedule? I stream every Saturday around 2 o'clock my time. So just type in when is 2 o'clock Arizona time. Because I don't have daylight savings, so it's always going to be around the same time. Unless I decide to stream a little bit earlier, around 1. Or I decide to stream a little bit later, around 3. But it's usually around 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturdays. You create online content. Art is not limited to drawing and painting. Art is a creation blended with expression. It all really depends on what your definition of art is. But I think under the modern definition of art, what I do is probably considered. But the modern definition of art usually covers like pretty much anything. You could spit on a piece of paper and that'd be called art. Quite literally. Because art is very subjective. So I might have said I wasn't an artist, even though I probably would be considered one. I mainly mean it in like the traditional sense of like being really good at drawing very detailed stuff. So my definition is like the old one. Under the newer one, or well, words themselves are just ways to express concept what's that word? Abstract concepts of thought. Words are a way to get your thoughts across. And I'm flubbering on the actual words for it, even though I'm pretty sure I know them. Yeah, so anyways, words themselves change over time. They don't really have a meaning to them, despite what your 6th grade grammar teacher might think. They do change over time. Words are added to the dictionary every year. Kind of like the best example is the word gay. Used to mean happy. Now it means a guy who likes another guy in a romantic sense. Even though it used to mean something else, or like the word retard, it used to just be a definition for people who had mental problems. But now it's a derogatory term for someone who's stupid. Just like the word art has changed as well. All words change. Words are meaningless. They're just ways that we are able to express our thoughts to each other, because we can't just put our thoughts into other people's brains. But yeah, technically, if we were to get technical about what's online and everything, what I do is art. I just don't call it that, because what I'm thinking in my head is like, traditional art. Something that's really good. What I do is, is like, I don't know. Anyways, next question. At least you're even getting nice weather. The past few weeks here in England have been grey as shit, and also pretty damn cold. We only had about a week of wearing shorts and other light clothes, and that is so far. What's worse is all these adverts taunting us about the joys of summer when hardly ever get to experience that. At least you're getting nice weather? No. This dry, excruciating heat is not nice weather. The nice weather you're thinking about is the weather we have in the winter, where we can go outside with a shirt and shorts without sweating our asses off after 30 seconds. It is ridiculously hot. The kind of weather you're describing is the kind of weather everybody who lives in my state dreams about. Whenever it rains, because it rains so infrequently, like everybody's Facebook pages are just filled with pictures of the rain and everybody talking about how much they love it. It's it's kind of like it's a meme for people who live in Arizona, that whenever it rains, all anyone can talk about is that it's raining and how exciting it is. And people will literally go outside and watch the rain. I remember once we were having this microburst. For those of you who don't know, microburst is like a really intense rainstorm where like the rain is blowing sideways and there's just a shit ton of it, but it only lasts for like 5 minutes or something. Like whenever we have those like pretty often too, because our weather is weird. Anyways, like during one of the microbursts, we went outside once because the street was flooded because we were getting so much rain that our irrigation system, is that what it's called? Whatever, the thing that allows the water to not flood. It got filled up so fast because it was a pretty long microburst and like the street was flooding up. And when we went outside to look, everyone on the neighborhood was out of their house in the front door watching it rain. Because everybody in Arizona loves the rain because it's always so hot. The weather you're talking about is something I would love. The reason you probably like my weather is because you live in the opposite. I guess if I grew up my entire life where it was always rainy and muggy, I'd probably think that it being really sunny outside would be great, except for the fact that it's not and it's really hot. Like, whenever, because, like, cloudy skies and rain are usually associated with, like, melancholy or sadness. He's like, oh, and it was raining outside. Like in a book or something, to describe that it, something bad had just happened. I associate rain with happiness and, like, how awesome it is. I love the rain. So whenever some movie or book I'm reading talks about the rain in a bad way, he's like, oh, and it's raining outside and it's giving me this sense of dread and melancholy. I think, how the hell can the rain make you feel bad? That's awesome. It's like, oh, because I'm coming from a place where literally everybody loves the rain. So the fact that it's raining wouldn't make you feel sad. It still pisses me off. Like, literally every time I'm reading something or watching like an anime or something, and they're like, oh, it's been raining for the past 2 days and it's been making me feel blue, I always think, how? It's cultural differences. I guess if I grew up where it rained regularly, I probably might feel that way, but since it rains so infrequently, rain is just associated with happy feelings. I love it, especially in the winter when it gets cold enough where I have to wear a sweater. I'm like in the best of moods during the winter because I love the cold. It doesn't rain in the winter, but I wish it did too. That'd be pretty great. Oh, I love being able to wear a sweater. I love being able to actually get underneath my blankets because I sleep on top of my comforter like 80% of the year, and I love it when it's cold enough where I actually need to get underneath my sheets because it feels so nice to be able to wrap up and stop the cold. Because if we turn on the AC too low, we already have a really high AC bill during the winter. During the summer. So we basically just turn it down to a level where we won't sweat in our sleep. But we don't turn it down too low just because it's really, really expensive. Like I turn it down whenever I'm about to record so I can turn off my fan. But even then, sometimes I leave my fan on because I also have a fan pointed at me 24/7. And the room I'm in is not very insulated. But during the winter, it gets colder than the rest of the house, and I love it. I love my cold room. I even get to wear sweatpants sometimes instead of the shorts I always wear. And I get to wear a sweater inside. just making myself happy thinking about it. I can't wait for the winter to come around. I love it when it's cold. It's the best. I even go outside. It's like, oh, it's so cold. It's freezing. I wish it was like this all the time. I should probably move somewhere else. I hate how hot it is here. I'd probably get tired of the cold if I moved away, though. I will probably do it someday. Maybe, unless I'm too lazy to do it. Anyways, next one, I should probably stop talking about how much I love cold weather. Next question. Total ripoff of Melancholy vs. Suzumiya XP. Looking forward to it. Oh yeah, that was in relation to, I think I announced the new series I'm going to be doing. I really haven't worked on it at all since I actually last talked about it. Basically, I'm going to be starting up a new Machinima series. It's going to be 4 episodes long, because I scrapped the first episode because I thought it wasn't a really good introduction to the series. I basically just took out parts of it and I just added on to episode 2. So the first episode is going to be kind of long. The series is called The Melancholy of Inzoth, or something like that. It'll take place 500 years in the future of the WoW universe, because whenever I make a new story, I have to make it WoW related in some way, which is really easy. Like, I usually just make up a story, and then I'll turn it into a WoW story later. That if you want to learn how to make machinimas or, you know, any kind of WoW fanfiction, basically just write whatever you want and then just add WoW characters to it. That's how I do it. I'm pretty sure that's how other people do it as well. Make something original and then turn it into a WoW fanfiction. That's basically what I did with it. It takes place 500 years in the future of WoW. It's going to be Inzoth. He's bored because he's been controlling the entire world for like 500 years, and he secretly plans his own rebellion. That way he'll have something to do because he's just bored. And then the story will take place from the people that he's helping in the shadows. They get all these random, like powerful artifact weapons with random ass effects on them, and they have to fight these 4 random creatures that are like his generals and his army, that he gave very specific abilities that are countered very specifically by the artifacts he created. It's supposed to be like a parody of like superpowers and stuff too. I think it'll be pretty good as long as I'm able to pull it off correctly, because what I have written down is pretty great, and the entire series just leads up to a joke at the end of the last episode. Like, everything is just, it comes full circle. It's not even a funny joke. That's what I think is pretty funny about it. But I have a weird sense of humor, so it'll probably just piss off a lot of people. Now that I think about it, that's probably not good. Hopefully they won't like the characters too much. I made the main character, who's supposed to be like the hero of the story, to be a total asshole. You really shouldn't like him. But people will probably like him anyway, just because he's too much of an asshole. Or they probably won't like him at all. Who knows? It's really hard to know how the audience will react to characters. Anyways, I think it'll be pretty good, but I haven't really worked on it. Instead, I've been working on something else that I'll talk about at the end of this, if I remember. Next question. 110 degrees, 43 degrees Celsius. Ha! I have to run at 45 degrees Celsius, 113 during the hot summer days, and 0 degrees Celsius, 32 Fahrenheit during cold winter days. Well, you crazy. 113 degrees outside. You better bring a bottle of water with you, because that's pretty hot. Sucks to be you. I don't do that. I do reasonable things because I don't enjoy passing out due to heat stroke. Next question. Hey, Hiru, on what region/servers do you play? I play on 2 servers. I play on Stormscale with my priest if I want to raid. That's where all my... Well, that's literally just where my priest is at. That I raid with in my guild with my friend. And that's over on a PvP server, which really sucks for doing anything else, because I don't like to do outdoor PvP when I'm out mining or something stupid like that. So I also have a whole bunch of characters on my old server, which is Dawnbringer, which is a nice PvE server, and that's where I have like all my other characters, my hunter, my mage, everything. And I try to level up all my characters, that way if I ever need footage of something, I can get it. And that's basically the only reason I play those characters and have them all leveled up. And they all have gear, is so that I can maybe one day get footage on them. Like if I'm making a video about, I don't know, hunter pets, I have my hunter at max level and I can go around in battlegrounds and run old raids and shit and get footage. I get like 75% of my footage though from my mage. A mage is the best character to have if you want to make WoW videos and go out and get footage because they have teleports. And you can just get around everywhere really easily with a mage. I really want to level up an alliance mage, that way I have portals on both sides, but I don't really think that's necessary, considering as long as I have the Stoneheart portal and teleport to Old Dolorand and the portal in Orgrimmar that takes you to the Twilight Highlands, I can basically get anywhere on the Eastern Kingdoms on my undead mage pretty easily. But I don't know, it is also really nice to have an Alliance character at max level too, just in case I need to get footage of Alliance things, which does happen quite often as well. So that's why I've been leveling up an Alliance Death Knight. Yeah, so that way I'll have two characters, but then again, they're both melee characters. One of them is a Paladin, and the other one's a Death Knight. I should probably level up an Alliance Mage, that way I'd have a range. But is that really necessary? I don't think so. I think I'm totally fine with just the Paladin at level 100. But yeah, so I play on Stormscale and Dawnbringer. And I play, like, for reals on Stormscale. I do all my raiding and stuff and progression. And Dawnbringer, I play on it just to level up characters and do pet battles and get footage for videos. Alright, so, next question. You were a jock in high school? ... Tumblr triggering intensifies. I guess I was. I played sports and I was good at it. And I had lots of friends who also played sports. But the traditional sense of the jock who's really mean to other people and bullies them, that wasn't something that really existed at my school. I'm pretty sure it exists other places, but that's more of a movie stereotype than it is a thing that's a constant in all high schools. Like, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm pretty sure it does. It's just at my high school, all of the jocks were like some of the nicest people you'd ever meet. There were some that were assholes, but they were all nice to me. And I've never seen them be mean to other people that weren't like their teammates. You know, because teammates sometimes get into scuffles and stuff. But outside of practice and everything, they were more than respectable to other people and teachers. And some of my football players are some of the nicest people I've ever met. Like, holy crap. But then again, that was probably because I went to a school where like half of the population were Mormon. Mormons are really nice people. Like, really. Well, I can't really explain it more than that. I should probably just emphasize that Mormons are really nice. I'm pretty sure not all of them are, but enough of them were where I basically just make that generalization where if you're Mormon, there's a chance that you're probably a nice person because a lot of them are. Whether it's fake or not doesn't really matter to me. Next question. Didn't you like the arcade in StarCraft 2? The arcade in StarCraft 2, I tried it out a couple times. It was okay, but it was never really something I was all that into. I just tried out a few games in the arcade, and I thought it was neat, and that was about it. I never really got into any of the games hardcore, or played any of them for more than 5 minutes, because none of them really stuck out to me. Next question, 2BH. Vids like this one are perfect for having in the background while playing WoW. Well, that's basically why I make videos like this. This is the intended purpose for them. I only put up footage just because it's a video. It's just garbage footage. None of the footage really matches anything I'm talking about, so you don't even have to watch it. I usually just take some of the stream footage from one of my previous streams and just throw it up. Since I record all of my streams, and they don't really take up much space, so I pretty much have every single stream I've ever done, because each stream only takes up like 4 or 5 gigs of memory, and I have like 5 terabytes of memory, although most of that's kind of full. I'm thinking about buying more memory, just because video files take a lot of memory, but not the kind that I use for streaming. When I use the high quality video recording software with DX Story, it's usually like 10 minutes of footage will probably be around 40 to 50 gigs. Whereas my stream, which is like 2 to 3 hours long, will be like 3 to 5 gigs. So there's a huge difference. And the quality isn't really even that noticeable. But one of them is a lot higher quality, but the other one, the quality is serviceable. And as long as you're not a huge quality nut, it's not really all that noticeable. To be honest, I feel I'm perfect for playing on in the background while playing WoW. Yeah, that's the purpose of these videos. If you like these kinds of videos, I have 2 other channels that will cater to you. One of them's called Hiru's Ask Reddit, where I literally just read Reddit things, but I'm also going to add other stuff to it besides just reading Ask Reddit threads on Reddit. Because I go through and read them, and if it's a topic I like, I'll usually expand upon it and go off on tangents. So it's basically like my Q&A videos, except there's like a more structured purpose to it. But I'll be reading other things in there too, because it's a great way to practice my script reading. And now that I have this mic stand, I can actually read a lot more without going out of breath. So that's cool. I won't be slouching down as much, since the mic is a little bit higher now. Oh, I don't think I've ran out of breath once while doing this entire Q&A, which is kind of awesome. Ow. I stretched and I hurt my hand. Ow. How the hell? I'm getting old. I played volleyball like 2 days ago with my family. And usually I'm a lot better than everyone else except my little brother, because he's in high school right now and he's in football. So he's in shape. I'm in shape too, but he's like in better shape than I am. And he has his own turns out he's pretty athletically talented too. It's weird, I guess the athletic talent was passed down through my mom's side, because out of all my family, I only share the same dad with my older sister, because my younger sister and my younger brother both have different dads. So it's like 3 different dads for all of us, but we all grew up with just our mom. So we all basically treat each other like full siblings. I don't ever think of him as a half-brother. I don't even think how... Basically, I thought of them all as just real brothers and sisters, to the point where I can't see how other people can look down on half-brothers or sisters. It's just not something that really registers with me. But anyways, yeah, he's athletically talented too. So, the volleyball matches get a little bit... Well, it's basically just me versus him, and then we have our 2 sisters and whoever else is playing with us. Just trying to not get in the way. And I was practicing my jump serve, where I throw the ball. I've never actually played volleyball in high school, but I'm athletically talented, and the fact that I can get good at anything as long as I just try it for a little bit. So I was practicing a jump serve because I saw it in an anime, and I thought I could probably do it based on that. And it took me like 10 tries before I was able to get it. It's a lot of fun to do. You just basically jump up and pretend like your body's like a whip. And you go, oomph. And then afterwards, on the next day, my shoulders were sore from doing that. And I was like, I don't think I've ever had my shoulders be sore before. So, yeah, that wasn't really relevant to anything I was talking about. I was just talking about how my fingers started hurting. It was probably because I was playing volleyball. And I'm still probably sore from that, since when I say I'm in shape, it's because I only do cardio. I don't actually lift or do anything else, so... The other parts of my body that aren't involved in running, like my hands, are probably not all loosey-goosey and stuff. I really want to join like a volleyball thing with like a community center or something. I think that'd be fun. Or tennis. Something that's not too physically demanding like football is. To be honest, videos are like that. Okay, next question. I like your voice because it's not fake and overreactive. Well, the video I use in my... the voice I use in my videos, like with my top 10s and the history of WoW stuff, any video that isn't this one, the Q&A, that's a fake voice I use. It's a voice I use because my real voice... Ooh, excuse me. Anyways, my real voice is pretty monotone and lifeless. Like my my default personality is one that likes to just be left by himself. And I would basically never talk to anyone if I didn't need to. I basically decided that, you know what? My personality, who I really am, is just a person who likes to be left to himself. And I like to be alone. I don't like to talk to other people. But I cannot live in society without talking to other people. So because I don't like to, that doesn't mean I'm going to be able to avoid it. And I don't even really like avoiding it because I do like to learn new things about people sometimes. Sometimes, not everyone. Sometimes I'll talk to people and they're just so boring and I just wish they would just shut up. So whenever I'm just because you're in a general vicinity with someone else doesn't mean you have to talk. Because sometimes I just really don't care about what you have to say. But then again, when you meet someone new, whenever I meet someone new, it is fun to learn new things about someone else because everybody has their own personal backstory and, all of these connections they've made with other people. And it's sometimes interesting to learn about that kinds of stuff. So, I basically just practiced on how to be sociable. And I worked at a job where I had to talk to groups of people every day. So I don't have a fear of talking to in front of a large group of people, or public speaking, or talking to strangers, or talking to coworkers and striking up a conversation, because I'd regularly be in situations where I'd work with like one or two other people, and I would always strike up a conversation and get to know them better. And I did it so often, and with so many new people, because the job I worked at cycled through new people all the time. I got really good at it. I can start a conversation with pretty much anyone, and I have like a 90% success chance of getting them to like me. Because there are just some people who just won't, who have a precognition of like, why are you talking to me? Go away. And even them, I say I have a 90% success chance of getting them to like me. That's only because, like, on a first try. Eventually, I even get those people around, just because I've had so much practice at it. And I've even gotten a lot better at acting, because my main personality is default and monotone. So anything that's not default or monotone is me putting effort into it. That's why whenever I'm in a social situations for too long, I always get really tired, because this is how I really talk, with a voice fry, not emotion. My face is pretty, whatchamacallit, relaxed right now. Oh, this feels nice. Lots of less effort. It's also not as loud either. It's probably not as noticeable. It'll be a lot more noticeable if I did the rest of the video like this, and compare it to the beginning of it. But then even then, it's not really that much different, since I'm not being too energetic in these videos, just a tiny bit. Because my default voice isn't very good, so I changed it a little bit, and I've had tons of practice with it. So I'm going to go back to using my other one, because it's really not noticeable, to be honest, unless, like I said, I talked for a really long period of time with my real voice compared to the one I use for everything else, which is also different for the voice I use in my videos. The voice I use in my videos is completely different from the voice I use in my streams and Q&A videos, which is also different from the real voice, which I never use because has lots of voice fry and it's really low and monotone. What was I gonna say? Fun fact about something. Oh, I totally just lost that train of thought completely. Well, I like your voice. It's not fake or overreactive. It's not super fake, I guess. I don't really put too much effort into it, I should say. How do you feel about Nostralius being shut down? Wow, that's an old question. Nostralius was shut down so long ago. How do I feel about it? I don't feel anything about it. Nostralius was kind of a joke, because there's this guy named Shrek the Ogre who likes to show up to my streams, and he would always basically just troll about how Nostralius was the best, and how Vanilla WoW is better than everything else, and how everything that's not Vanilla WoW sucks. And he would always talk about Nostralius, and I thought it was just a a joke that he made up, and then I heard that Nostralis is like super popular, and that a lot of people were upset that it was shut down. It's like, oh, I didn't think it was that popular. I thought it was just this random private server Strike played on. Turns out it's a big deal. I didn't play on it though. I do have private servers installed, but only to get footage. I don't actually play on them. So I have one for like, I don't even think you can really call the alpha server one. I have an alpha WoW server installed. If I ever need to go in and get shots of what WoW looked like in the alpha build, which is a lot different than live. I have a whole bunch of videos on that too. If you want to see some of the differences from alpha WoW to what it's like in vanilla or what it's like now after Cataclysm, just go watch my avoid my 2 videos called Exploring Alpha WoW, because I had just installed the alpha client and I just ran around and looked at stuff, and people got really mad that I didn't know that things I thought were new are actually still in the game. So I would probably just avoid that, because I didn't think those videos would get as many views as they did. I thought they would get about as many views as like my Q&A videos where I'm just running around and just looking at random shit. But people thought it was a video like showcasing it, like a guy who knew what he was talking about, and they all got mad that I didn't know what I was talking about. So they were expecting something more high quality and more effort put into it than it really was. So I did make a video like that. It's called like 15 WoW Alpha Facts or something. It has a pretty bad name on it. 15 Alpha WoW Facts, I think. I know it's 15 though. Just look at 15 Alpha WoW Facts if you want to see some of the differences from Alpha WoW to vanilla and what it's like now. Pretty interesting stuff, but I do sometimes have to hop onto that server if I need footage of it for whatever reason. I think I hopped on pretty recently because I needed footage of like blank, untextured land for a thing I'm making. And so I hopped on, I went to Gilneas, because Gilneas is in the game there. Behind the wall, it's just there's literally nothing there. It's untextured landmass. So I use that for some footage for a video I made. And then I have a BC WoW server. All the private servers I play on are ones that give you an instant max level character. That way I can just make a max level character and go out and get the footage I need. So I have a BC one, a Wrath of the Lich King one, and a Mist of Pandaria one. And all 3 of those are instant max level character servers. And I should probably get a vanilla and Cataclysm one, just in case I need footage for those as well. The thing that sucks about them though is all the private servers are only versions of the game from the very last patch. So like the very last patch of BC is the one I play on, the very last patch of Wrath of the Lich King, or the very last patch of Mist of Pandaria. So if I need footage of something that was like at the beginning of the expansion, I still can't get that. Or I need footage of like special abilities or talent trees or whatever. But it's still a lot better than not having the private servers. And I don't actually play on them, I just go on them to get footage. And that's it. Mainly because I really... I make my living making WoW videos, and I'd rather not upset Blizzard by going in and like, hey, let's do the Iron Man challenge in BC WoW, which is what I did on a stream once. And that was actually pretty fun. If you want to do an Iron Man challenge, do it on like BC or Wrath of the Lich King. It's a lot more fun than it is doing it on live, just because you still get like abilities every time you level up, and you still get talent points. Well, you can't use talents in Iron Man, but you still get abilities when you level up. And the BC server, since all I had was gray items and just my standard abilities, my pet was actually stronger than my hunter. It was a lot of fun having my boar go around destroying stuff while I was basically its support. I made sure it stayed alive. That was pretty fun. Pets were a bigger deal back then than they are today, where they're basically just cosmetic items now. They don't even give you buffs or anything. They don't have special abilities. Only some of them do. Man, they've really screwed the pooch on how pets work nowadays. Next question. Please, Hiru, tell me what's your outro song? The outro song I use is called Bats by Stephen Liu's royalty-free music library. Basically, one day in the r/Let's Play subreddit, someone linked a playlist. It's like, hey, if you ever need like really dramatic orchestra music for your videos. Here's this really cool collection of, well, dramatic orchestra music. So I downloaded it because it was all royalty free. And I don't remember what happened to that link, but when I tried looking it up later, because people ask me about the sounds I use all the time from that playlist, because they're really good, especially, like the bats at the end. I tried looking it up online and I couldn't find a link for it anywhere until I finally found like a paid version, and it's like $25 for that link that the guy gave us all for free. And I use them in so many videos and they've never gotten flagged once, which means they're some pretty good copyright free stuff. Sometimes, if you get a song that's copyright free, you can still get copyright striked on it. If someone else used it in like a remix and then they, told YouTube, hey, this is my song now. And sometimes they'll have that song matched with something that you've made and they'll give you copyright strikes. I've had to deal with that a couple times. So anytime I get new copyright free music, I always put into a playlist and I put it on my Yu-Gi-Oh channel as unlisted. And then I wait a couple days because they also don't flag you right away. They'll sometimes take a couple days before they have a match. And then after like a week, I'll come back and see how many songs got flagged. And there's always at least one or two. I've never actually gotten a full new thing of music and not had one or two of them flagged for like just random reasons. So I just take a note of it and I delete those songs so I don't accidentally use them in a video. And then I have a whole new list of new copyright free music. And the outro song is just one I chose randomly from the Stephen Liu royalty free music library thing. And I actually don't even really like the outro song. I just chose it randomly. But I do believe in consistency. So I've just been using it just because I chose it randomly one day. Because I used to just extend whatever song I had in the video. And I just made it a little bit louder. And then one day I was like, why don't I just have a consistent outro song? And so I just chose Bats from it because it sounded neat at the time. And I kind of wish it was something a little bit more catchy. Because it's too, dramatic. And I'd rather it be something less lighthearted. But it's fine. It's fine. Some people always ask. I get asked about it every once in a while, but not very often because it's not that catchy. Okay. So, new question. Hi, any tips on choosing a raiding class at the start of Legion? See, there are a lot of questions. I've been blitzing through these questions faster than I have in any of my other Q&A videos. And I still have a couple left. Hi, any tips at choosing a raiding class at the start of Legion? Tips for choosing a raiding class. I have no idea. I basically just started raiding with whatever character I had leveled up first, which was my hunter. And then I leveled up my priest second, and then I started just switching off on them. And then, since healers are in more demand than hunters, they eventually forced me to play on my priest. And then in Cataclysm, I was raiding on both my hunter in one raid team and my priest in a different raid team, and both of them were doing really good. They were pushing, for one of the best, they were pushing the highest on the server. The raid team I was in on my priest was the second most progressed raid team on the server, and the one I was on my hunter was the fifth most progressed. So they were both doing pretty well. And then I got kicked out of the raid team on my hunter for a whole bunch of reasons I'm not going to go into. And I basically just stayed on my priest, and then that guild broke down, and I switched to a new server and played with a friend from work. And that's what I've just been doing. I've just been healing my priest because ever since they introduced Atonement, I've been loving healing on my priests. I love being able to do DPS and heal at the same time. It's a lot of fun. Warlords of Draenor wasn't very fun healing on my priests because they nerfed Atonement into the ground. Atonement in Warlords was basically something you do if people don't need to be healed and you just don't want to stand there doing nothing. It's so bad. Oh, I probably shouldn't cough in the mic like that. Oh, it was so terrible. But in Cataclysm, it was decent. It was like a cheap heal you could do on people. And it actually wasn't half bad in some certain situations. And Mist of Pandaria, that was the golden age of atonement healing. You could literally just do that instead of doing regular healing. While just throwing out bubbles every now and then. You weave in everything else. I think Mists of Pandaria had like the best Disc Priest healing out of all the expansions that I played it on. Because I did Disc in Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, Mists of Pandaria, and Warlords of Draenor. And Disc in Burning Crusade and Vanilla wasn't really a thing. You played Holy during those 2 expansions. And so I played Disc in basically all the expansions where it was viable. And Mists of Pandaria is probably the best. Because you could Atonement heal, like, first and foremost, and then you could just weave in all your cooldowns with everything else. So playing a Disc Priest in Mists of Pandaria was like playing a hybrid DPS healer class. They had it down to a T, which I don't know why. Actually, it was a little bit too good. Disc was like one of the best healers in Mist. Like, they had really good bubbles, and they could also, their main heal was a smart heal where they didn't have to think about it. And they were doing too much DPS and healing, and their bubbles were really great. They were just doing everything too well, so they decided to just completely neuter everything in Warlords, and that really... I still played by Priest, but it wasn't as fun as it was in the past. And then I've been playing it in Legion, and the new Atonement system is really clunky and a pain in the ass to do, but... I just really got to get used to it. It's a lot different. Just because something's different doesn't mean it's bad. You have to play it enough times until you really get a good feel for it. Or at least that's what I do. And if I don't like it, well, that sucks because I don't really like the other healers. Because I've healed with all the other heroes as well. The only ones I could really stand were paladins. Everyone else is kind of a pain in the ass. But I don't know, they also changed the other healing styles too. So I might change my healer if I don't like the new Atonement system. Because as it is now, it's really annoying. Atonement doesn't last long enough. It only lasts for 15 seconds. And the only way to apply Atonement on people is to give them a direct heal. And the cheapest and fastest direct heal you can give is called Plea, which is basically an instant heal that does like shit all for healing. It's such an insignificant amount of healing that it's basically just a button to put Atonement on people individually. And since Atonement only lasts 15 seconds, and the best way to put Atonement on people is with your bubble that has a 6-second cooldown, and Plea, which has no cooldown but does shit all for healing, you're basically just spending the entire raid just trying to put Atonement on people, and you're not really spending enough time actually attacking the boss for the Atonement to actually do anything. Unless you're just putting dots in everyone else, since your dots also transfer to Atonement, which is pretty nice. It would be really good if Disc Priest just had an AoE way to put Atonement on people. So far, the only way to put Atonement on multiple people at once is with a really shitty AoE that costs a whole bunch of mana, only hits 3 targets, and heals for a shit amount, just like Plea. Like, it's not worth casting. It has a really long cast time. It only puts Atonement on 3 people. It only puts the Atonement on 2 other people at random, and the new smart healing system is terrible, so it'll sometimes just put Atonement on people who already have Atonement. It should really target like lowest health people or something. It just targets 2 other people at random. It's really stupid, and it heals for like nothing. It's not worth the cast considering how much it costed mana, but sometimes it is because you just really want to put Atonement on other people. And it's just really clunky system. It's real easy to fix though. All they have to do is like increase the amount of duration that Atonement lasts on people. I'm hoping there's like set bonuses or artifact bonuses that will do that. So I haven't completely given up on it. I'm going to see what it's like. Or if they just give you a better way to put Atonement on multiple people. Because as it is now, it's a pain in the ass and it should be fun, not annoying. And it'd be a lot more fun if they just increase its duration or gave you a better way to put it on multiple people at once. Because those are the 2 biggest problems it has right now. And if either one of those is fixed, it'd be a lot better. Because by the time you're actually done putting Atonement on like 5 people and actually start DPSing, after casting a couple of times, it had already fallen off the first guy because you have to spend a global cooldown putting it on other people. And during all that time, you're not doing any healing because you're spending too much time trying to put Atonement on other targets. And since the spell you're using to put it on other people heals for like nothing, it's like you're basically just spending your entire time putting buffs on people. It's a pain in the ass right now. But maybe you'll get used to it. Maybe there's set bonuses and other things that'll make it better. I don't know. We'll find out. Or maybe they'll just buff it in Legion. Because from all the stuff I've heard about playing on the beta, people who've been healing, they've all said like Disc is the worst. And I totally see why. If you're doing it in a dungeon setting, it's really bad. Like, disc is only really good in raids. In dungeon settings, you have no emergency heals at all. Like, how the hell are you supposed to heal without a single emergency heal? Because they keep removing the talents that allowed you to do that, so it's in a bad state right now, but I'm still kind of hopeful because I like the idea behind the system, but it's not executed well right now. But it might be changed in the future, considering Blizzard always changes disc praise at the beginning of the expansion because there's always something wrong with them. Like in Cataclysm, they were terrible and they buffed them and they were good. In Mist of Pandaria, were they bad? I don't remember. I think they were really OP at the beginning of Mist of Pandaria, I think. And then Warlords of Draenor, they nerfed him immediately. And then they buffed Bubble. Warlords was stupid. They basically spent the entire time hyping up a Disc Priest and healing that they'd be able to use Holy Nova as their efficient heal, as their raid heal. It's like, oh, Disc Priests are finally going to have an AoE heal. And it's going to be Holy Nova. It goes, we know Holy Nova's been terrible this entire time, but trust us, it's going to be good. As soon as Warlords of Draenor's launch, everybody's using Holy Nova too much, so we've nerfed it. But to compensate, we're going to make your bubbles heal for more. And then Disc was basically just bubble spam, which was what you did in Wrath of the Lich King. And at the end of Wrath of the Lich King, they gave Disc Atonement because they're like, hey, we really don't want Disc to be bubble spamming. We don't think that's a fun way for Disc to be playing, so we're going to give them other things to do. Warlords of Draenor, we really don't want you to spam Holy Nova, so we're going to allow you to bubble spam. Why would they go back on that? Bubble spamming isn't fun. That's true. Why would they allow you to go back to it? That was Warlords of Draenor healing, was bubble spamming. It was the most efficient way and the best HPS. They killed it now, so you can't bubble spam anymore, which is fine, because I never really was a fan of bubble spamming. But it was always a really efficient way to get a lot of HPS. But I think I've talked enough about Disc. If you want to know more about... Well, I was going to say if you want to know more about Holy Nova. Why would you want to know more about Holy Nova? I made a video about it a couple weeks ago. The history of Holy Nova, where I go over the Disc changes. But not onto the detail. I basically told you everything that's in the video about Disc and Warlords. Next question. Hiru, we do like to listen to you rambling. LOL, you cracked me up. Happy for you. Glad you can do this full time. I listen to you. Nix Kakio helps him at work and makes the third shift grind much better. Thanks for the hard work. That's not really a question. I think he was just talking about other YouTubers as well. Well, cool. These kinds of videos are really good for, grinding at work, I guess. Nixium, I'm a huge fan of Nixium. I watch basically every video he puts out, which is what I do for a lot of YouTubers I subscribe to. But I really like Nixium. I really like his videos, and he is a workaholic. I think out of all the people who make WoW videos on YouTube, Nixium probably works the hardest. Because Machinimas take forever to make. If you take a look at the video I made very recently, after I put out this Q&A, the why did Varian die exactly? There's a 30-second Machinima in it, where it's basically just there for a joke. And that 30-second Machinima took me 6 hours to make. And it's kind of crappy, too. I tried to cut corners as much as possible, but it still took a really long time to make. Just because Machinima's, it's like, making Machinima is like doing a puppet show. You're just trying to get the background and characters to work in pre-existing ways, and to make it not look too unnatural. It's like making the perfect puppet show. You don't really get to... You're limited in ways, so you have to be creative in how to overcome those limitations. And Nixium puts out a new Machinima every week. I'm pretty sure all he does is like stream and then work on a new video. He probably puts in so much time. Kakio the Slackio, has he put out a new video yet? I think after he put out the Warcraft Bible one, he took 2 weeks to put out a new video. He's such a slacker. He's like the opposite of Nixium. His videos are good, but I don't want to talk bad about Kakio. I like Kakio. I like Kakio's voice. I want Kakio to voice more characters for me in my videos, so I'm gonna do nothing but talk up him. I have no qualms about the videos he makes. The only qualm I have, is qualm even a word, is that he doesn't make more. I think that's a pretty good disadvantage to have. And then Hellscream. Well, Hellscream, he's a good friend too. I like him. I sometimes talk to him in curse chat while he does his stream on Friday sometimes. If you don't know, Hellscream streams on Twitch on Fridays sometimes when he feels like it, but not all the time. He's a cool guy. I watch all his videos too. His machinimas are really funny. He has a very unique style of humor, which is great. And he does a really good gay Blood Elf voice. I really want him to do that gay Blood Elf voice for me in a video or something else. He's a cool guy too. I can understand liking those YouTubers. Those are three great YouTubers. Also, a couple other ones that are cool. You guys should all go check out Miracle Movies. He made this new Flash animation thing. Is it Flash? I think he did an entire animation in MS Paint because he didn't back up his files when Legion pre-patch drops, so he's not able to do machinimas until it gets updated. And it's really funny. I'm just surprised it's not getting as many views as his other machinimas are, considering how well done it is. Miri has like some of the best action machinimas I've ever seen. I basically just copy what he does whenever I do action scenes in my machinimas because those are done so well. You should really check out Epic Encounters. They're so well done. I didn't know action could look good in machinimas until I saw his videos. That's how well done they are. Okay, next question. A question for your next Q&A. Would you be interested in doing a Yu-Gi-Oh! Related podcast with me? It'd be fun to try it out. And if you don't want to, that is also fine. I'll just keep looking elsewhere. Well, to answer your question, probably not. Because I have a story about that. Usually if someone asks me to be on a podcast, I'll say yes. I don't really ever say no because I don't really get asked very often. I'm not that popular on YouTube, and I don't have the kind of popularity where I'm popular because of my personality. It's more for the list videos I make, which don't really require a personality. Nor do I put too much of an effort to insert a personality into those videos. Because sometimes whenever I try to put too many jokes into videos, I'll go back and watch it like weeks later, and it's like, holy shit, half of these jokes are terrible. I should have just taken them out. Like my top 10 chance on hit items video. I think that video, the jokes are just so terrible. Ugh. Like, I'm fine with putting jokes in, but I specifically try to keep it light. Like, if I put a joke in, I'll make sure not to put another joke in for, like, another couple of minutes. Because that one, I try to put a joke in, like, in every single list item, and it just does not work out well. It was just cringy at parts. I was like, that seemed funny at the time, but I didn't execute it well. And even when I do sometimes write in jokes at places, if it doesn't sound right in the audio, or if I wasn't able to act it out correctly, or if it doesn't look good after I put in the editing, I'll just remove them. I've removed so many jokes from videos just because of how much I hated the top 10 chance on hit items video, because I try to put too much jokes in. But anyways, yeah, I don't really get asked to be on podcasts very often, and I usually accept pretty much every time. The few times I was. And one time when I was asked, this was like back like 2 or 3 years ago. Well, like 2 years ago or something. It was when I think it was before I started YouTube full time. Someone asked me if I wanted to be on a Yu-Gi-Oh podcast. Because if you guys don't know, I do have a Yu-Gi-Oh channel with like 15,000 subscribers that does well as well. Like, I have a pretty big channel over on the Yu-Gi-Oh side of YouTube, which is a lot smaller than the WoW side of YouTube, which is a lot smaller than like a League of Legends side of YouTube, which is probably smaller than the Minecraft side of YouTube. Basically, there's different parts of YouTube for different niches of video games. And I do well on the Yu-Gi-Oh side, as well as the WoW side. And someone asked if I wanted to be in a podcast with them to talk about like some of the new hero changes. I was like, okay, I'll talk. So he basically gets me on, and he tells me he's recording from like his speakers on his TV or something. And I was like, okay, That's weird. I don't know how that works out, but I don't really care. Let's talk about the new changes. Let's talk about heroes and how they banned Stratos. So we talk about heroes and everything. We have a really good conversation for about an hour. And then he's like, hey, I'm going to make a new heroes deck. So he basically opens up his program. Mind you, we're on Skype talking about this. So I can't see anything he's doing because he's not doing a screen share or anything. And he creates a new deck and he's talking about it. And then he goes online and he starts playing other people. And he's basically doing a Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's Play with audio only while I'm still in the call with him. I was like, okay. And he's getting really into it too, doing all these things like, I activate my trap card. Oh, you thought you were going to pull that off, huh, idiot? Oh no, now I'm going to throw down my Shadow Mist, and then I'm going to use polymerization. And I was like, this is a really unprofessional thing to do. Aren't we on a podcast? So he did that, and it got kind of weird, and then we talked for a little bit more, and then I left. And then I took a look at his YouTube channel, and he had a couple of really low quality videos on his channel, and he had like 5 subs. I was like, okay, that was kind of weird. I don't think he was actually recording that. I'm pretty sure he was just a fan who wanted to talk, or maybe wanted to try to do a podcast but didn't really know how, and he just wanted to talk for a couple hours. I was like, so if I'm going to do this again, I want to make sure that they have a legit podcast and that they have other episodes, and that they're not just someone who wants to maybe start it out and they just wanted to ask me. I was like, I'm going to make sure they already have an established fan base or just an established podcast before I accept another one. So if you're starting it out and you want me to do it with you, that's a big no. I'm not going to dedicate time to start a podcast with someone else, unless it's like Kakyo and Hellscream. There have been talks to do a podcast with Kakyo and Hellscream. As long as one of them sets it up, I'll totally do it with them. That's only because I'm friends with them, and I talk to them on a regular basis. And I've been in their videos, and they've been in my videos. And I know that they'll do a good job because they both have, good editing skills, and they both have YouTube channels that do well in their own unique audiences. So if, one of my friends asked me to be on a podcast, I'd totally do it. But if just a random person asked me to start a podcast with them and they don't have, any audience, a blog with a following, or a YouTube channel with a following, or a SoundCloud with a following, or even a Facebook page with a following, anything that has a following already, and they want me to start up with them, that's a big no. But if you want me to be a guest on an episode of your podcast, and you already have an established podcast, like you have a couple of episodes and you have some kind of following, doesn't even have to be a big following. You can get 2 views, just as long as you've had 5 other episodes already. I would totally go. I don't really care. It seems like it'd be a fun thing to do. So far, I've only done a couple, but I'm not totally against the idea. It's just there are limitations to what I will accept a podcast invitation for. And they're pretty low, to be honest. Those are some pretty low standards. Only just because that one guy was kind of weird. I was like, I probably don't want to do a podcast like that again, because I'm pretty sure that he didn't make a podcast. I don't think he recorded it. I think he was just kind of a weird guy. Next one. Do you actually only do YouTube for money? No. That's a joke, an inside joke between me and Hellscream. He likes to say I only do YouTube for money on his streams, and he goes on and on about all these things about how I only use my fans for money, and I call them my personal bank account or stuff like that. But it's all just a joke. I basically do the same thing to him on the screen, on his streams or whatever. It's not real. It's just something we play up for fun. Kind of like how we call Kakyo gay or stuff like that. He's probably not really gay, and if he is, it's fine. But he's just Danish. Nothing wrong with being from Daneland, Denmark. Daneland. I bet he'd get pissed if he got to this part of the video and heard me call Denmark Daneland. Next question. You have a sad backstory. Did I talk about my backstory in my last video? I don't know. My backstory does sound sad if I talk about it. If I talk about it at all. Just because I've had a lot of terrible things happen to me, and I didn't have the best grow up environment. I remember I was back when the whole draw your life things are popular. I wrote out a script for it. I was like, I can't make this video. If I made a draw my life thing, there's no way I could do it without it being really depressing. And that's not something I want to do. So I just scrapped the entire idea. My backstory is basically one in which I had a single mom who was a drug addict. My father was also a drug addict. He's the one who got my mom into drugs, and he was also a drug dealer and a neo-Nazi who kidnapped my mom once and did stuff. And she ran away, and she raised me and my older sister, and then in her running away, she conceived my little sister, and then my little brother was born about 8 years after that. And she went into rehab when he was like 1. And then we lived with our grandparents for a little while. But my little brother went with his grandmother from his dad's side. So when my mom got out of rehab, she had to go into court to try to give him back. And then we lived together. And then she got addicted to pills again. And then, yeah, that's a pretty good. That's a nice summarization of what happened when I was little. I also moved to a new school every single year because drug addicts moved around a lot. I was homeless a couple times, always hungry because we never had food in the fridge. I learned how to cook at a young age because we never had food. I learned how to make eggs in the microwave before I learned how to do them on the stove. I used to think that was so good too. I remember I tried it again later on. I was like, this is so gross. How the hell did I like this? I guess taste buds change when you're little. And I got a whole bunch of stories from that too. And I'm not really going to tell any, but yeah, I guess it is a sad backstory looking back on it. But at the time, I just thought it was normal. When you grow up in that kind of thing, you think that's how everybody is. You don't really think of it as a sad situation. You just kind of make the best of it. It's only looking back on it that it seems bad. I mean, it could have been worse. There are so many other people who've had way worse childhoods than I did too. It's just I had a not normal one, but it could have been a lot worse. I could have grew up like in a war-torn country in Africa or something. That would have sucked. Next one, or I mean any other country that has, civil wars and stuff, where they have child soldiers and anything. Next question. You could make one about Deathwing. Deathwing did nothing wrong, for example. Oh yeah, this was in relation to my Garrosh did nothing wrong video. What about Deathwing, huh? I guess that could work. I mean, I think, Deathwing was just an asshole. But then again, Garrosh was the biggest asshole, and I was able to make a convincing case that I still get messages every day about how the video changed their minds about Garrosh. He's like, you know what, Garrosh isn't that bad of a guy after watching this video. I was like, no, this video is propaganda. He is a terrible guy. But I was able to convince so many people with that. Maybe a Deathwing, that seems like a good one. Because I get lots of people who always say, like, oh, you should do one on Arthas or Illidan, two popular villains. But they already kind of have a gray side to their villainy in the first place. Illidan isn't really a bad guy. He wants to do the right thing, but he does bad things to get there. He's like one of those ends justify the means kind of guy. Arthas was just like manipulated into it. Then he got mind controlled by Nazul and the crown and shit. And it's a lot more complicated than that. But that's a quick little summarization of it. Basically, they don't really have the same backstory as Garrosh, who wasn't corrupted. He was just a huge asshole. But I was able to change a lot of people's minds on it. And Deathwing, he's just kind of a huge asshole too. So I think if I were to do another one, that would be a probably good idea. For another Deathwing did nothing wrong or something. Final question. Wow. I was trying to go through these really quickly and not go off on tangents, but that didn't happen. I still go off on tangents all the time. I can't really stop that. That's just who I am. Why don't you try Smite? Oh, because I play Heroes of the Storm. I don't really have enough time to play that game. I used to play Dota 2. and then I got tired of it because a short game was 40 minutes long, but usual games were over an hour, and that's just a lot of time to dedicate to a game that you're going to lose. And the community was toxic. I got my very first ever someone telling me to go kill myself while playing Dota 2. Many more after that, though. But that was the first time I was like, wow, why would someone say that online? I was like, oh, it's Dota 2. But then again, that's how it is with like any PvP thing. Dota 2 was just the one I played like the most, where it had all chat. I used to do PvP in World of Warcraft all the time, but you can't hear what your opponent's saying. No, that was my teammates who said that, though. Yeah, and it is usually your teammates. Anyways, I played a ton of Dota 2, and it was a lot of fun. I also tried out League of Legends because I wanted to play a Dota. A MOBA game where the matches were shorter. And I tried out League of Legends, and I liked it enough. It's just, I really didn't want to learn a new meta. It's like, I already know everything about the heroes in Dota 2, and if I was going to play League, not only do I have to unlock all of them, because they don't all just come available instantly like in Dota 2, but I also have to learn how to use all these new items, and like they have passive abilities that you can choose to go with, and you actually have to unlock all of them too. It was just a lot to do, and a lot of new things to learn, and I just wasn't really into it. And then Heroes of the Storm came out, and I was like, well, I really like Dota 2, and I liked League, I just didn't play it because I didn't really want to learn a new game. But I got into the beta for Heroes of the Storm, and I really liked that. I remember I always play, whenever I try out a new game, I always play a character that can use lightning abilities. So the very first character I played in Dota 2 was Zeus, because all of his abilities are lightning. And then in League of Legends, the first character I ever played was Katrina, I think, or something, just because she didn't have mana. And I think it was because she was cheap to buy, and none of the heroes actually use lightning or anything I could find. And then in Heroes of the Storm, the first character I played was Falstad, because he had a lightning ability. Lightning abilities are fun to look at. I really like even going around leveling my monk, just using crackling jade lightning on everything. Even though it sucks and does like no damage. It just looks really cool. For Smite, though, I really don't want to try a new one, really. The same reason why I don't try new MMOs. I already have WoW. Why would I want to try something else? When I already don't have enough time to play WoW. I spend all my time making videos. I have so many things to do, and not enough time to do them, and not enough motivation either. I have to force myself to really do anything. You know what I used to do before I did YouTube? I'd go to work on the weekends, and then I'd spend the entire week, all 5 days, just playing video games. Oh, that was so much fun. I love just working part-time and then getting to play video games all the time. Now I don't take days off anymore. I literally always work, every day. But since I don't take days off, I just take lots of breaks. So I never get to like sit down and just game all day, because I'll probably play for like a couple hours and then I'll stop and start working on a video or something, or I'll start working on videos and I'll stop and play a little bit of a game and then I'll go back to making videos. Or maybe I'll make videos in the morning and then I'll spend the rest of the afternoon playing video games. But I can never just sit down and play an entire game all day anymore. And last time I tried that was during the last Diablo season. No, the one before the last. I got a whole bunch of videos ready and set so that way I could just play Diablo for a week. And then while I was doing that, I just kept thinking, is like, oh, I should probably go make a video. I was like, oh, I have a great idea for a video. Nope, I'm playing Diablo, no videos. And I just kept wanting to make videos while I was playing Diablo. And eventually that feeling went away. And then when I was after the week was over, because I only gave myself a week to play nothing but Diablo, the second week, I was like, I don't want to make videos, I just want to play Diablo. I had gotten out of work mode, and I had gotten into relaxation Diablo mode. So I got really lazy, and it was really hard for me to make any videos after that, so it took me a while to get back into it. So after that, I told myself, I'm not going to take breaks like that anymore. While I was taking the break, I just wanted to work on videos, and then afterwards, I didn't want to work on videos anymore. So I think the happy medium is to cut back on how much videos I make during those kinds of times, and instead just work on it a little bit and just spend like a majority of my time playing video games. That's what I'm going to do for Legion's launch. basically. Is I'm not going to quit making videos or anything. I'm going to keep doing them. I'm just going to focus my time on leveling up in Legion while taking breaks to make videos, rather than the other way around, where I focus on making videos and then I take breaks to play video games. And I think that'll work out just fine. That's what I did with the last Diablo season. And that's what I'm going to do over here too. But that's also why I won't try out Smite, because I don't really have the time for it. I have other things to do. I also have a whole bunch of other channels I don't make videos for. So if I ever do get caught up on stuff, which I'm never caught up on, I'll start making videos for my other channels. I'm never done making videos, so I don't really get a chance to try out new video games, and I already have a MOBA to play. And I don't really want to try out a new one because I like Heroes of the Storm. I really like it. It's like the best MOBA out of all of them, just because it's so casual friendly. You don't have to deal with bullshit. I really hate last hitting, and I love that that's gone. I also really love the team levels, because in regular MOBAs, y'all have individual levels, and supports are expected to give up experience to the carries, that way they can get higher levels, and you're basically going around the entire game weaker than everyone else, so that you get like one shot if someone manages to ambush you by yourself. Or if you're playing with a team and they just don't give a shit about the supports and let you die, and then they'll blame you for everything. I was like, you have to protect the support. But in Heroes of the Storm, supports gain levels with everyone else, and since there's no items, they're not low on gold for allowing their lane mate to get the last hit. So they actually have, since talents are a thing, they're on equal footing with everyone else, which I think makes it a lot better. So yeah, I just really like the way Heroes of the Storm plays than everyone else. Plus, it also has more team battles. And I really don't like being stuck in a lane all day. Uh-oh. I've been recording too long. My sister got home from work. And with it means my nephew and niece come back as well. I like to get all of my really long recordings done before they get home, just because my nephew is 4 years old, and sometimes he likes to yell randomly for no reason, because that's what 4-year-olds do. Anyways, actually I was done with the questions. I just have a couple of afterthoughts that I was going to add on to it. Let's just try to get these out of the way real quick. I really like this mic stand. It's pretty cool, even though it looks kind of cheap. I might buy a bigger one, just because I kind of want one that will go over my computer rather than sideways. Anyways, after questions, new Dave and Devbot Season 2. Oh yeah, I've been working on Dave and Devbot Season 2 instead of doing the Inzoth thing, because I thought I'd be able to make it easier than that video, because I'm going to do it in a more animation efficient style, like how I did with my Machinima, the last one I made. RP player does a quest. If you go and look at that, I basically just have them like standing next to each other with like still images, and then they move around sometimes when they talk. I'm going to do the entire Season 2 basically like that, and then just do machinimas for like action scenes, or if they move or do anything. But if they're talking, they're going to be face to face with each other with like still images. Because I don't really like the machinima way of talking, because you're basically just going through the same 3 emotes over and over for really long conversations, and it's really hard to get that to look good, because it also really looks amateurish when someone's making a machinima and they're talking for a long period of time and they just loop the same emote over and over again. I was like, oh, that really takes me out of it. But with this way, because Dave and Devbot does not get a lot of views, so I think I can get away with doing it this way, because there are still some fans of the series. Not a lot, because it doesn't get a lot of views, but I do want to finish it for the fans of the series, rather than just ending it at Season 1. So I'm going to make a Season 2, and then I'll end it in Season 3. Season 2 will introduce a plot, and then Season 3 will conclude it. And that will be the end of it. And I'm going to do it in the style of my Machinima RP player does a few quests. I'm also not going to do my other Machinimas in that style. Only Dave and Devbot, just because it didn't work out very well. And a lot of people didn't really like it. But a lot of people didn't really complain about it either. It just didn't get a lot of views, because I If it didn't get a lot of views, but no one complained about it in the comment section, I think it's okay. But it's not something you want to do if you want to actually attract viewers to it. So to continue on a series that isn't very popular, I think that's the perfect way to do it because it'll cut down the amount of time it takes to make the video. So for the first episode of the first season, it took me about like 5 or 6 hours to make the episode. And it took me 6 hours to make that 30-second action machinima for my variant video. So I was able to make an entire episode in the amount of time it would take me to make 30 seconds of a machinima action scene. So I think it's pretty efficient. That's still a long time to make one like 4-minute video. 6 hours, but it's still a lot quicker than doing it the traditional way. And I think I can do it. I can finish off Dave and DevBot if I do it that way. And I already have the first episode done. It's just I'm not gonna release any of them until I have the entire second season done. Like, I've already gone back and changed the first episode just because I want to be able to go back and change the episodes if I don't really like the joke or if I decide to change something later on. And I've already done that with the first episode. I've gone back and removed a joke and replaced it with something else because I didn't really like it a couple weeks later, which I think is a pretty good thing to do. So I'm going to be working on episode 2, and there's going to be like, I don't know, 6 episodes, 6 or 7 or 8 episodes. I don't remember. But it's not going to be very long. It's not going to be 12 episodes like the first season. Third season will probably be the same way, but that's not going to be for a long time. After season 2, I'm going to take a break on it and work on the Inzoth thing. I'm also going to be working on the Inzoth one whenever I feel like it. I'm not going to completely put on the back burners in order to finish off the season 2 of Dave and DevBot. I'm going to work on that whenever I can. Because I can't really devote time to those videos as like my primary thing, because they don't get enough views to really warrant it. That's like a side project I'm doing for fun. And if they do get a lot of views, that's just a happy coincidence. But I have to focus on my other videos, just because I do this as like a job, and I should work on videos that get a lot of views, rather than videos that I want to do just because they're for fun and they don't get a lot of views. Even I could totally just ignore it and do whatever I want, and I'd probably be fine too. I'd rather not do that. I'm still growing as the channel. The channel's still growing, and I'd rather not stagnate the growth by just doing whatever I feel like, rather than doing what's smart. Let's see, next one I have on here, variant video? Oh yeah, I didn't get received as well as I thought it would. Well, that's fine. I expected people to argue with me about the math in it, and I got those arguments, and I just ignored all of them because I didn't really put a lot of effort into the math. I mean, it took a long time writing it, but just because doing the speculative math I did in the video took a long time to do, and I'm not going to look at every single angle. It was all basically just to set up a joke, really. It wasn't really to try to prove a point or anything. And a lot of people stopped watching the video before they got to the end of the video. So they all thought, what did they think? I don't know. There's a whole bunch of reasons they probably didn't like it. I'm not going to try to shoehorn it into one thing. What I should just say is that I'm surprised it got as much hate as it did, considering it wasn't a troll video. It was more of a joke video. A very obvious joke. And I guess there's multiple reasons people didn't like it, and it's still doing fine though, so it's not a failure of a video. I'm just surprised it's not being received as positively as I thought it would. It has a lot of negative reactions, but it also has lots of positive reactions. So it's not a failure, but I'm just surprised that it has as much negative feedback as it does. And the negative feedback, some of it's valid, most of it's just people who didn't finish the entire video and complained that I was thinking too much about what happened, and that it's just a fantasy game. You shouldn't think about it too much. And if they'd bothered to finish the video, that's basically what I say at the end of the video. The entire video was basically just just a joke. It wasn't serious. And let's see, next one I have over here, channel views maybe. Channel views? What the fuck does that mean? Why the hell did I write that down? Channel views. I must have maybe wrote something else there. I don't remember. Channels to view. You should go watch Miracle Movies, his story times thing. That thing's pretty cool. But I can't think of anything else that could possibly be. Or maybe to talk about how I'm going to be reading through Razor Hill. I woke up in Razor Hill. That story's hilarious. It's like it's written in the style of a choose your own adventure, but it's not a choose your own adventure. It's just written as if someone had did it and then wrote it down. And it's pretty great. That's going to be over my Ask Reddit channel. And Legion plans. I think I already talked about my Legion plans already, so I don't need to talk about that at the end of the video. I'm not going to stop making videos for it. And I didn't plan ahead to have a whole bunch of videos ready, because I didn't plan on stopping to, just play to No Life Legion. I'm just going to play it whenever I feel like it, and then I'm still going to make videos every day. I'm just going to cut back on the amount of time I spend making videos every day. Alright, so that's the end of the Q&A. I'm pretty sure there's other things I forgot to talk about, but I always do. So if you have a question about anything I talked about, or if you have other questions about random shit, I might answer them in the next video in like 2 or 3 weeks. Probably 3 weeks though.